Snowbirds flock one and all on this numerical migration to Orlando, Florida, where Stadium Championship Series East starts their chase for the tour title in the iconic Camping World Stadium. Catch all the numbers in this week's event preview before the magic hits the track, only on MonsterHub. With a lineup this stacked on paper, it's hard to see the forest for the palm trees coming into the theme park capital of the world to get a clear picture of Stadium East's outlook. 4 Stadium Tour championships, 9 World Finals Main Field championships, including the only 2 multi-time freestyle titleists not named Tom Meents, the reigning World Finals Skills champion, 2 World Finals High Jump champions. It's a totally gilded entry list. To win on this tour demands excellence. To win this tour altogether demands excellence and consistency. 2025's big floor point spreads remained fairly close throughout the year, with both tours bringing first and second place to the wire all the way to their final events. Based on this year's balance, I could see 2026's championship fights on the stadium side ending even tighter. There's no better place to kickstart Stadium East than Camping World Stadium, a venue that's seen almost every driver in this lineup at least once, many within the past 2 years. That familiarity should theoretically put everyone on even footing to begin the tour. Tenure alone has bolstered Adam Anderson's and Jim Kohler's start numbers in this building, with both the Gravedigger and Avenger drivers stretching their experience here back to its Citrus Bowl layout. Local hero Matt Pagliarulo has 5 Orlando starts of his own here, dating back to his 2015 rookie season. And while World Final statistics are kept separate from regular stadium events due to its prestige as a sports championship crowning weekend, Anderson, Kohler, Camden Murphy, Tristan England, and Cynthia Gauthier all competed twice under the Central Florida lights for those medals. To reiterate, you won't see those appearances listed in the upcoming table, nor will you see Jamie Sullivan, the only debutante in the venue this year, though the native of nearby Christmas might have a slight home state advantage as she embarks on her first domestic stadium tour. Just like the drivers, Orlando greets the familiar schemes of several iconic trucks rolling into Camping World Stadium. I'm not ruling out an Excalibur appearance from before the World Finals era, but it's been at least a quarter century, if that, since the city's hosted the medieval monster. It's almost fitting that Sparkle Smash also brings an air of fairy tale magic with its venue debut at the same time. Aside from them, the rest of the lineup has at least one Orlando showing, with several identities returning from the 2025 event. Team Scream's Mayhem, JCB Digatron, Lucas Stabilizer, and other comparatively young machines have already competed at least once in this building, with Tenure again leaping off the page and stacking Gravedigger, El Toro Loco, and Avenger at the top. Speaking of Toro, here are your 25th anniversary factoids. The Citrus Bowl was one of the Bowl's first ever stadiums when Lupe Souza campaigned the identity for Team Meents in 2001. It took until 2008 for the Fiery Hooves to hit the dirt here again, but Nathan Wink cemented Toro's place in the history books that night, and it's been a near mainstay in Orlando ever since. Before competition kicks off in the Sunshine State, let's take a deeper look into each of these 12 drivers' relevant statistics. The ringmaster of tomfoolery motorsports, Matt Pagliarulo, enters season number 12 of his Monster Jam career as one of the promotion's endearing underdogs. The once Rising Star Award winner has watched his sons Nick and Mike take Kraken and Excalibur to the sport's biggest stage, and with daughter Brooke joining Nick on the All-Star Monster Truck Tour this season, it shouldn't be long before we see the whole family crash the MJ party. For Matt, though, his stats point to 2026 as somewhat of a make-or-break year. Pagliarulo has put together 10 full seasons at the stadium level and has yet to advance to the racing finals. He's never won a two-wheel skills contest on the large floors either, though he's come close. But both of his podiums in the discipline came before 2021, widely considered a reset button in the world of Monster Jam. That's also when all his victories on the arena side lie, as well as his sole stadium freestyle win and overall event championship. Do not twist my words. Matt is a successful driver in his own right and has put together an even better record on the ownership side, building a fantastic Ford truck operation from the superfan ground up. but even a top-tier event showing to kick off the 2026 season just down the road from Deltona would be a welcome surprise. I have a feeling the Jester frontman has at least one more trick up his sleeve, maybe even enough to get the last laugh on his stadium record. Kevin Crocker's journeyman driving career gets yet another season as the fourth competitor for Team Scream, once again representing the Megalodon moniker. When he first stepped into the role in 2020, the Texas native made a solid addition to the Michigan fleet, but wow moments aplenty in his second stance of 5 years on put him on the map in 2025, even with a distant last-place finish on the Stadium East point sheet. Kevin is no stranger to finding the keys to arena victory, and he'll keep this year's tour looking over their shoulders for the lurking shark. Crocker is not expected to challenge for a World Finals bid or even too high a points tally. An average freestyle finish of 8.10 in 2025 stadium competition and just one racing round win against 22 losses under the same criteria doesn't exactly inspire confidence in some Cinderella turnaround. But maybe that's not the point. Kevin tried a skywheelie off the side of the racing berm in New Orleans last year and wound up backflipping his way to a silver medal skills effort. His consecutive rotation from Anaheim isn't where his runner-up freestyle finish comes from either. That goes back to San Diego 2 last season, where he genuinely put together a top-to-bottom performance deserving of a high score, complete with a nose-pick wheelie and reversing out of a sticky situation. Crocker doesn't need to go shock the world in 2026. Being himself and having fun has gotten him this far, and it just might give him a recorded stadium victory. Mr. Excitement rides again! Team Scream patriarch Jim Kohler shows no signs of slowing down his destructive and high-flying pace, with plenty of moon launches and vicious crashes dotting his 2025 campaign. Jim spun spiderweb sidewalls and grabbed scream-worthy leaps all over the place last year, reminding everyone once made Avenger a household name for nearly 30 years now. He's also had his fair share of arguments with the Orlando Dirt over the years, but 2026 could well be the year Kohler puts his Bel Air in the Camping World Stadium record books. With 24 main field championship appearances under his belt and 2 freestyle titles, Kohler has already locked up a legacy that will last well beyond his time behind the wheel. But expanding on that legacy is always welcome. We're not too far removed from Jim finally shaking off his stadium racing demons and grabbing his first 2 wins in the discipline in back-to-back St. Louis events, and throughout 2025 he showed glimpses of that same speed, climbing back to the final round in San Antonio. A couple freestyle victories lifted his stock last year as well, and helped punch his 24th main field ticket beyond just a legacy invite. But his last stadium overall event championship came nearly 5 years ago, and with several World Finals hopefuls, including his young teammates, linking together comparable seasons, Kohler needs to put all the elements together to solidify his 25th trip to the title fight. Chris Kohler capped his 2023 rookie campaign with a Monster Jam award for his accomplishment and his first taste of World Finals action. Since then, he's been relegated to 2 heartbreaking exits in the Last Chance qualifier. Mayhem's debut season wrapped with a memorable scene caught by Ricecle Stadium's video board. A frustrated Kohler slumped against the steering wheel with his black Chevelle at rest against the far turn's container. Redemption and the road back to the main field begins in Orlando. As a born-in member of Team Scream, entertainment is coded into Chris's genes, and it shows. The punches of raw emotion against Mayhem's door from a smoky early freestyle finish last season. The hilariously realistic bark of joy upon selection to Team Neon at the 2023 Superstar Challenge. The bloodied pose of battered victory representing Northern Nightmare in Detroit 2 years ago. No wonder this guy's earned the nickname Chris Hollywood. Kohler's cinematic career is just starting to age from rising star to experienced veteran, and his ascent back to the main field with its recent expansion seems inevitable. His best performances, when his machine holds up to the abuse, rival those of the all-time greats, and he's already taken hardware in each major discipline. If he flips the script from his Camping World Stadium debut last year, the main event will be well on his way back to, the main event. Firefighter Joe Foley jumped back at action with Axe in 2025, but a nosedive back to the bottom of the point spread made a disappointing season for the Team Scream Fire Department. This year, Foley's back in the thick of the flames. Joe dons the new El Toro Loco body for Stadium East in 2026, and he'd love nothing more than to channel the breakout season he enjoyed just 2 years ago. 5 of his freestyle wins came repping the Big Bad Bull to at least return to the Last Chance qualifier, if not shock the world with a main field berth. In fairness, I'm not sure how much of the world would be shocked if Joe leaps into Salt Lake City's top 28 this year. When Axe cooperated in 2025, fully matched his career best marks in all three disciplines, notching a runner-up two-wheel effort early in the year before climbing back to the racing finals in April and getting his 7th Stadium Freestyle trophy in May. He turned heads in Syracuse over the fall with bracket-shattering speed, threatening to shake up the Sparkle Smash Bash by putting Tristan England on the trailer in round 1. Like his teammate Chris Kohler, Joe's building a healthy resume of Monster Jam Stadium experience, and it's time for him to bring more consistent challenges to the top of the pack. I'm highly intrigued by this tour's mid-pack battle of rising independent stars, as these two Scream representatives put the heat on recent World Finals competitor Mike Pagliarulo. Oh, speak of the sword wielder and he doth appear, I see how this goes. Mike Pagliarulo's gradual entry into the world of Monster Jam drew to a roaring start to his full-time career in 2025, where he finished 7th on Stadium West against multiple World Finals veterans and the rest of his family team. But several appearances prior proved Mike worthy of the Excalibur name, including strong fill-in efforts for Team Throttle Monster and Overboard Motorsports, the latter lifting him to 2024 Rookie of the Year honors. On top of his experience as a trusted gunner for other teams, Mike's rapid ascent to Monster Jam Elite should be primarily attributed to his freestyle game, and for good reason. Pagliarulo's 2 early stadium wins in the discipline propelled him past the last chance qualifier and right into the main field last year. And neither trophy represents the run that caught my attention, though he was rewarded for at least day 1 of his 2025 Minneapolis efforts. His 2 minutes of non-stop action the next afternoon are nothing short of incredible. A 31.146 hub score from that run stands as one of the best stadium routines ever so far recorded. Mike excels at one specific facet of freestyle: variety. He packs so many unique tricks in his runs that it's almost impossible to telegraph Excalibur's next move. If he brings his results in the other 2 major disciplines up to that par, Tomfoolery Motorsports might just have the next breakout superstar. Colt Stevens roars back to Monster Jam Stadium competition, his first start of the kind since before World Finals, with Thunder Roarus in tow for year 4 of his post-broadcast career resurgence. The second-generation star and multi-time World Finals champ returns to the site of his first Stadium Overall Event Championship. Yeah, he won one before Detroit 2024, and the Texan would love nothing more than to get back to his winning Orlando ways with his first Stadium Overall since that Ford Field victory. Stevens has the skill level and driving chops to win Tour Championships, but consistency has been the weakness in the 2025 Save of the Year winner's Metal Dino armor. For a while, I just chalked this up to his unorthodox career beginnings. Colt cut his teeth in the shroud of Doomsday Mystery, was immediately thrust into the spotlight of Cletus, then was given the task of sharing driving duties of the only diesel-powered machine in Monster Jam's in-house fleet. And when that piece wasn't ready for the 2018 regular season, his runner-up tour effort in Zombie earned all the credit of an also-ran. Of course he'd have a reacclimation getting back into full-time competition with T-Roar, but with this powerhouse midfield for his 2026 competition, Colt needs to separate himself from the pack quickly. He can't afford a 3rd to 12th place 2-wheel skills finish in this building in a row. A replay of his 2nd place effort in 18 could boost him. Cynthia Gauthier may not have clicked off many more freestyle wins in 2025, but on the speed front, last year was her most impressive season yet. The Lucas Stabilizer driver brought home her first ever stadium racing victory in the brand's namesake stadium, becoming the first woman to win a big floor bracket since Kayla Blood in East Rutherford 2021. 7 months later, Cynthia repeated the feat driving Thor in Melbourne, becoming the first woman to win multiple stadium racing competitions since Candice Jolly's 2019 campaign. A crash in round 1 of the World Finals bracket prevented Gauthier from capitalizing on her newfound pace at the championship stage, but if this is indeed the new speed to expect out of her, Cynthia's next Monster Jam chapter might just be her best yet. On paper, she already sticks out as an upper half contender of this tour's racing brackets. Parlaying that with a return to freestyle form could round out Gauthier's performance to the point that she breaks into the sport's elite. Cynthia made her name in stadiums with weeks on end of victorious routines on the 2-minute clock, stealing the show with 3 in a row as the calendar turned from Arnhem 2022 to San Diego 2023. But since her return, her average finish has fallen to 6.97 from her 5.36 mark set from Stabilizer's debut to July 23. If she can keep her semi-truck upright for most of the clock on a regular basis, expect Gauthier to challenge for another upper crust points finish. Jamie Sullivan may not have been able to compete in the World Finals last year, but 2025 still stands as the Rising Stars' breakout campaign. A year after putting the heat to Weston Anderson early, Sullivan matched that effort on AT Central against John Zimmer Jr., only fading behind Matt Cody in the waning moments of that tour. She backed that up by bringing Sparkle Smash to its Australia debut and claiming her first Stadium overall event championship, matching her career best finishes in each discipline along the way. The future is blindingly bright for this unicorn tamer. Between Gautier's racing success and Sullivan's recent growth, Stadium East has potential to be a glass-ceiling shattering tour for monster trucks. Jamie's meteoric ascent into the upper echelon comes with more than 20 arena wins apiece in all three major disciplines, and when she masters the multi-turn courses that dot the current Stadium schedule, she just might put her name at the top of the shortlist for first woman to win a Stadium Series championship. Much of that high stock comes from her skills in, well, two-wheel skills. Sullivan is still the only woman to qualify for the title fight in that discipline, putting stoppy moonwalk combos up against the sport's best. Of this lineup, Jamie holds the fourth best average finish and average judges' zone score in Stadium two-wheel contests, well clear of the dogfight for 5th place. That's a chance for free points if she maintains that pace, beginning with bringing her magical machine to the City Beautiful. After weeks of his 2026 identity being up in the air, Camden Murphy gets a second chance at putting Classroom Crusher on the top step of the Stadium Championship Series podium. A Monster Jam name hasn't debuted in-house and immediately been relegated to independent-only representation since Rage and Steel back in 2002. But though the bus has been saved from this fate, Camden wants more than just a top 3 finish. He's never finished worse than 3rd on a full season points tour, but he's never finished better than 2nd either. Murphy has willed Classroom Crusher to 3rd on 2025 Stadium East, 3rd on the Freestyle Mania Mini Tour, especially thanks to decorated teammate Greg Duffy, and a runner-up just 4 points shy of the Fall Stadium Series Mini Tour trophy. Attrition on both of the postseason battles played a role in his losses, topped by a painful DNC in Arlington's freestyle contest. But Camden and company took several weeks last year to get some speed tutored into the bus, failing to claim his first stadium racing win of the year until Detroit, well after Tyler Menninga's usual tour opening domination. Up to that point, he'd only made 3 previous stadium finals on the year. That pace is finally unlocked, though, with Murphy finishing no worse than 5th during the Sparkle Smash Bash's brackets. Depending what kind of consistency he can deliver in the scored competitions, Camden just might walk into World Finals 25 with that first series title. For over 20 years, Adam Anderson has been taking trophies back to North Carolina at Hall of Fame-worthy pace. Now the most decorated World Finals competitor of all active drivers, Anderson's also won a triad of Stadium Championship Series, and he's evenly spaced out his domination across his 2-decade career. That longevity at the top of the heap is almost unheard of in motorsport. But in monster trucks, and especially for the Gravedigger heir apparent, it's commonplace. But even legends have seasons they're just a little off. Dennis Anderson had stumbles like 2001. Tom Bentz's 2009 season is historically documented among his trials and tribulations, and even Tyler Menninga had a tough adjustment to stadium competition back in 2022. Adam's career seems cyclical. He'll have peaks like 2016 and 2023, but he'll also hit valleys like 2025. His worst annual average finish in stadium two-wheel skills since 2020 kept him from countering Tristan England's dominance in that discipline. But that same stat in Stadium Freestyle, a 5.12 average finish there brought down only 0.02 of a point from Australia, stands as his worst since a 15th place finish in Vancouver 2015 tanked his outlook that year. Top all that off with only 2 big floor final round appearances last year, and Adam's looking for a big turnaround in 2026. A turnaround, of course, that's entirely possible for the man who's won it all. Tristan England checked off 2 important boxes in his 2025 campaign, starting by grabbing his first Stadium Series championship, then taking that success to Salt Lake City, and finally getting that elusive two-wheel skills title. What left is there to prove for the JCB Digatron pilot from Paris, Texas? Well, for starters, he has the chance to do it all again. England's only been on the big floors for 2 seasons now, and there's nothing stopping him from cementing himself and this identity as one of the winningest combinations in this era of Monster Jam. Tristan kept the backhoe sharp in the postseason by pairing up with Ripper Ray Noriega and taking the title of the reinvented Freestyle Mania Mini Tour. But even though he claimed gold as the 2023 World Finals racing champion, racing inconsistency stands as his most obvious Achilles heel against an otherwise unstoppable wall of domination. His hiccups and skills are few and far between, with only 2 finishes outside the top 5 in stadiums since moving into Digatron. Freestyle's a bit more dependent on how Judges Zone responds to his technical routines, but likewise, he hasn't finished worse than 5th since his last failure to complete minimum time back in Seattle. On the Sparkle Smash Bash, though, England posted the slowest losing round 2 time in St. Louis before falling to Mike Pagliarulo and Joe Foley in round 1 in back-to-back weeks. He righted the ship for Houston and Glendale, but can't afford early exits like that on this series. Okay, you've got the lineup. That's enough of my rambling for now. It's time to let the numbers do the talking. Get your table reading glasses ready because we're about to dive into the deep end of stadium bracket racing statistics, from career totals to 2025 info to venue specifics. Stadium East is loaded top to bottom with speedsters, highlighted by the group's cumulative 279 recorded stadium final round appearances outside of championship events. Granted, half of that count stands with Adam Anderson alone, but the Gravedigger driver better watch his back against the other 11 Tour contenders, especially Camden Murphy. The accomplished racer in anything with an engine leads the charge against Adam overall, and is undefeated against the 3-time World Finals racing champ at the end of the bracket. Camden carries that dominant energy against the majority of his matches on this tour, but that steely resolve has some cracks forming of late due to Classroom Crusher's slow 2025 start. Cynthia Gauthier finally bested the bus driver in the Indianapolis finals last year, and Jim Kohler shut Camden down in a round 1 upset in San Diego. This data also doesn't include Tristan England's victory against Murphy in the World Finals 22 championship race. There's plenty of data to sort through here, so feel free to go back a few seconds and pause to see where your favorite driver stacks up head-to-head. If you're searching for a venue where the cream of the field rises to the top, look no further than Orlando's rich history of racing victors. Nearly everyone who's taken home a trophy from this stadium, both in its current iteration and its previous Citrus Bowl layout, has marched as deep as the semifinal round at the Monster Jam World Finals. The few exceptions have plenty of accolades in their own right. Very few competitors have pulled off surprise marches through this Florida Sops bracket. Nathan Wink backed up his Tampa 2008 victory by dominating Orlando's racing competition. Steve Reynolds carried the Cowboy machine to the 2006 win, delivering extra validation to his Atlanta 2003 triumph, and Lee O'Donnell brought Taz to the winner's circle in 2007 during his run as super sub for Adam Anderson. The only real shocker from this city? A sentimental win for Milton's own Jim Jack, standing as his and Reptoid's only stadium competition victory in the World Finals era. After all that speeding through racing, I need a break. I need a little control. I need some balance, some precision. That's right, it's time for more numbers. Get those decimal points ready because now we're covering two-wheel skills. Looking through Camping World Stadium's history, Orlando appreciates the classic tricks in the book often just as much as the riskier new moves. Tyler Menninga grabbed the 2025 win with a quadruple combination wheelie pulled out of a bicycle transfer, but just behind him on the point sheet sits several stoppies and even an old-fashioned sky wheelie slap wheelie combo. For the most part, the past several events have shaken down the same way. Tristan England's trademark combo moves that he's perfected to a science in JCB Digatron didn't even score all that high here back in 2024, and who can forget his silver medal 2019 attempts falling to Tom Mentz's Cyclone? This makes guessing the winning skills formula all the tougher, and then we factor in the likelihood that the large floor tours will only receive one attempt, and Orlando's first taste of the expert judge in a regular stadium event. A landed bike transfer might score well, but if someone nails a perfect stoppie early in the game, or even hits the first tail-dragging slap wheelie of the night, will the riskiest moves even hold on for a podium? To make matters even more intriguing, Orlando isn't entirely glued to placing one identity over another in two-wheel contests. Camping World Stadiums had a good balance of trucks taking podium positions, racing in recent time from Rage and El Toro Loco to Jurassic Attack and Mohawk Warrior. In the latter's case, Bryce Kenny finished no worse than 6th in this discipline here, representing the Mohawk Nation, a nice change of pace given his perpetual underscored status in that era of his career. Even Gravedigger's been all over the result sheet, with Menninga's back-to-back bicycle tricks first topping the chart 5 years after Adam Anderson's runner-up 2019 effort. If any identity can lay claim to Central Florida as a stomping ground, it's two-time Skills Championship truck Maximum Destruction. But even Tom Mentz and Blake Granger have failed to land high scores here at times. With no Max D in the field now, the door is wide open for a driver to power another machine to top step contention. We've covered speed, we've covered skill. What about style? Monster Jam's freestyle competition lets drivers attack the track every which way they desire, so let's dive back into the numbers and see what the stats have to say about the sport's pinnacle discipline. Yes, you read that stat right. Father-son duo Jim and Chris Kohler wrapped their 2025 campaigns in a virtual tie for average judges' zone score, unbroken to the thousandth of a point. Their matching win totals should yield another season where either Avenger or Mayhem challenge for top honors at the end of each freestyle competition, if not both. One of the few exceptions last year? Orlando. Sure, Jim still wound up third on the final tally, but his show-ending routine left 28 seconds on the clock and prevented him from completing his effort to dethrone eventual winner Barry Masauer. Most returning drivers to this venue have some sort of bone to pick with Camping World Stadium's track. Cynthia Gauthier looks to improve one spot from her 2025 effort. Camden Murphy probably wants to judge his own score that more accurately reflects his strong run from last March, and Tristan England looks to convert his 2024 silver medal into a 2026 gold after starting that competition with a fantastic performance that also failed to complete the full 2 minutes. Once upon a time, Orlando Freestyle was a gravedigger stomping ground. Drivers in black and green at least tied for all but one win in the discipline from 2001 to 2010. That all changed when Jeremy Slivko notched the biggest victory of his career here in 2011, effectively bookending the digger domination with 2 upsets, as Alan Pizzo took home the first win here back in 2000. The balance of power swung Team Mentz's way after that, with Neil Elliott, Tom Mentz, and even Chuck Warner going back and forth with Ryan Anderson for Florida Gold. That perpetual tug-of-war between North Carolina's finest and Illinois' own still hasn't settled today, though with Maximum Destruction retiring with Mentz, there's room for a new consistent challenger to approach the victor's table. Or maybe 2026 is the time for another surprise winner, namely an independent. It's been almost a decade since Mike Waters II brought one home here for the Overkill Evolution group. Hope you're still hungry and brought your thinking caps to the table because it's time for this week's Food for Thought, inspired by my own frustrations at a recent competition development. The post-season stadium shows have typically been avenues for Monster Jam to introduce new elements to its events, in the form of new tracks, new identities, and the occasional tweaks to the rules package. Case in point, the two-wheel skills competition first debuted in the summer of 2017, and a late 2019 alteration specified the moveset to limit drivers to either two-wheel attempts or one donut. Thank you, World Finals 20. But after 8 seasons as a 2-hit display of talent, the promotion removed the second attempt this past October, limiting drivers to just one two-wheel skill, or one donut, should they desire. The exception? Drivers are allowed a second attempt, for the same move, off the same ramp, with the same approach, if they happen to fail the first. The definition of failure on that front isn't entirely clear. We haven't quite veered into the gray area yet of what does and does not allow for a redo, but I see that happening relatively quickly into the 2026 season if clear parameters aren't established fast. Bryce Kenny claimed the first mulligan under this new moveset with a second tombstone stoppie try in Arlington, but he'd already grabbed a short moonwalk on his first attempt and lifted both bounces off the trench box to average completion. Tyler Menninga landed an average completion short-duration bicycle in Syracuse before turning around and doing the same trick, with a sidewall attached. Beyond that, the two-wheel competition was created to showcase then-new ground treks like stoppies and bicycles, giving drivers extra space to hone those skills beyond rushing to incorporate them into a freestyle competition. Ripping away one of 2 opportunities an event to nail these moves seems antithetical to the discipline's purpose. But what exactly is the purpose of two-wheel skills? Is it a test of a driver's execution, control, and performance under pressure? Or is it a space to innovate and experiment with new ideas outside the pace of a freestyle routine? If it's the former, the added stress of this single-hit change probably works fine. But if it's the latter, I worry drivers will be dissuaded from pushing the boundaries too far for fear of losing ground on the point sheet. There's much to be applauded about technical brilliance, and also much to be concerned about stale sameness. Week 2 delivers the year's first full slate of Monster Jam competition, with all 5 domestic tours duking it out across the country and an international event going on in Qatar. Stadium West has their own coastal battle to contest, and MonsterHub will be covering them more in-depth in a couple weeks after Snapdragon Stadium's dust has settled in for their second set of events in San Diego. Over there, it's Tyler Menninga, Ryan Anderson, Barry Musauer, Corey Rummel, and many more. Suddenly I'm having flashbacks to 2023. Meanwhile, Arena East rolls into Kansas City for great barbecue and even greater action in the T-Mobile Center. Headlining that group is reigning tour runner-up MJ Solorio going head-to-head against 2025 AT Central champ John Zimmer Jr., with Cody Saucier looking for another hot start to carry his career-long trend of strong kickoffs. To find Arena Central, we head east. Can we do away with the geographical names already? To Greensboro, North Carolina, where the First Horizon Coliseum greets the 16 athletes comprising the 2026 edition of Freestyle Mania. Arena West treks from Salt Lake City over to Reno, Nevada. Consistent footage of shows from the Livestock Event Center has historically been hard to come by, but their off-screen efforts matter just as much as the rest of their points events. Just in case you're dizzy from this roller coaster ride of statistics, let's recap. Heavy hitters Tristan England, Adam Anderson, and Camden Murphy roll into Orlando with the lion's share of former Monster Jam success of this lineup. The stacked midfield stretches from Stadium Series first-timer Jamie Sullivan to 28-year veteran Jim Kohler, and Kevin Crocker and Matt Pagliarulo can't be ruled out as potential surprise winners along the road to the World Finals. With all that said, who stands out as MonsterHub's driver to watch this week? 2026 just has an air of redemption about it, and as I've touched on before, that's right up Chris Hollywood Kohler's alley. With the help of Team Scream's mechanics, the Mayhem pilot has probably done all he can to shake down the pesky mechanical woes that put his Chevelle on the refire clock late last year. Across a busy weekend of action, I'm keeping my eye on the second-generation phenom to rewrite his Orlando record and start his march back to championship contention. I hope you've enjoyed this week's dive into the world of Monster Jam statistics. There'll be plenty more where this came from in 2026. Drop a like if you feel ready to take in this weekend's Camping World Stadium action, and hit the subscribe button so you don't miss any event previews for the season. Grab your guitars next week as we strum on down to see Freestyle Mania's Outlook for Nashville, Tennessee, only on MonsterHub. MonsterHub is not affiliated with Monster Jam or Feld Entertainment. All driver names, truck names, and other associated intellectual property belong to their respective owners and are referenced in this video for sake of statistics and clarity only.